welcome to What's the Story? My name is Janice Hermson. You got to remember to push the button. We didn't do our little intro because we were doing our intro, but I forgot to say go live. Go live.
Go live.
Go live, yes. I thought we were live, but you know.
It took like 5 seconds for us to go live, right? We were on the verge.
We were on the verge. We got our own little intro, but you know, unfortunately, we were the only ones who heard it. So,
or fortunately for them.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Well, we get an extra 30 seconds of being able to talk about things, so that's all good. So, welcome to What's the Story? I'm Janice Hermson, and we've got Ed Knoll here today, and I think I told you last week that Doug Ashby is not going to come back with us until after the first of the year. He's out there partying hardy.
I guess. I mean, you know, here we are rebuilding the Republican Party brick by brick, and he's not here.
He's not here to appreciate it. What can you say? But we're here, and we've been, just doing lots of things and working hard and getting ready for Thanksgiving, which I'm very excited about. We always have lots of family come by, and that's always fun.
Well, my son's in town. And
good.
And
hey, Bucks.
Yeah, he's home on break from UNLV.
He might listen to the podcast, right?
He would for sure. So he will for sure, I think. He probably used it as an example in his class of what not to do, if it's me. But no, on a bright note, UNLV football plays UNR Saturday in Las Vegas.
Nice.
If UNLV wins, they play Boise State in the Mountain West Championship.
Wow.
And that would be the following week. And if they happen to win that, they might get into the National Football Championship. And UNLV's never even had like 10 wins as a football program. Cool. So it's very exciting for him.
Yeah.
And it should be pretty exciting for Southern Nevada.
And he is in what year now?
He's a junior.
That's what I thought. Yeah, he's a junior. Yeah, it just seems like yesterday he was just going in.
It's crazy.
It is.
I wondered if he was doing anything. And he goes, yeah, my counselor says I got 45 credits to graduate with his 3 semesters.
Wow.
So that.
Very cool.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, he's looking at masters now.
Oh.
So he wants to go into like that forensic psychology, which is serial bad folks and things like that. He wants to get into that space.
Like homicides and things like that?
Yeah, well, trying to predict or whatever folks in that space can do to either solve or help folks.
Wow. That's interesting.
I think it is. I'm kind of having fun watching it.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good. So we appreciate everybody being with us, and I guess I should quickly do my normal little thing here where I'm going to share our page with you. So here we go. Today we're doing a pop quiz. How much do you know about Thanksgiving Day? Make sure that you subscribe to our Substack. That is hermson.substack.com. And it's free. There's no charge for that. Let you know what's going on the shows each week. And sometimes I even send out some press releases, some different things. Try not to spam anybody, and it's not too frequent. You don't have to open it. I prefer if you do, but, it's something you can just delete if it's not of interest to you.
Well, right, and I'll say it's probably about 10% of the emails of Eddie Bauer. I must get 100 a day.
That's funny.
It's ridiculous.
That's funny. But I will say too, and I wanted to. There've been a couple of people that have when you log on and you subscribe, they tell you, hey, you can subscribe with X amount of dollars, blah blah blah, or pledge X amount of dollars. And there's actually been a couple of people that have done that, which I really appreciate. I haven't opened up any kind of a subscription thing because if I do that, I want to make sure I'm going to give you something for that. So I will take your money, however, but not until I'm able to share something in addition.
So
right?
it's fascinating. At night,
it was nice gestures.
At night, very nice. I've been a bad reader lately. So at night, I've been listening to Sirius Radio to old radio shows.
Okay.
Right? And they have like a sub broadcast. Maybe a guy out of Idaho who is doing the detectives. Last night I listened to the Falcon, but he's doing the same thing, right? They're still listening for shows, or
Right.
if you listen, please,
Right. Well, yeah, donate. We do a buy me a coffee. Yeah,
wise.
we say buy me a coffee because we're self-funded, I guess you would say, right? So try not to do a lot of advertising. I do occasionally have some folks that will want something promoted, so we promote that, and sometimes it's an affiliate thing, sometimes it's a trade-off thing, sometimes it's a paid for. It just depends. But we try and look for things that are going to actually be of benefit to our listeners and our audience, and so it's not too frequent again, but so
It's the inflation story when you're listening to those old radio shows and the sponsors are obviously products, right? Right. And so it could be like, the Green Giant hominy or something, right? I mean, it's a ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's highly entertaining, goes to the core of stuff, and anyway,
Yep.
I enjoy it.
Yep. And also because the likes help to push the show up in the algorithms, I guess. Everybody uses that word like they know what they're talking about. I don't know what I'm talking
To me, it's like for a math cluster, it's algorithm covers it, right? That's what they do.
That's right. We're going to talk about blockchains later today, so that's even better.
Well, I was thinking that people should program into what's the story before they go to bed, right? Listen to that while
Well, you
go to
can.
sleep.
Oh, and since you mentioned it, 93.7 FM through America Matters Media. We're heard between 7 and 9 p.m. on 93.7 right here in Reno. So tune into that. This week you'll hear last week's show, and next week you'll hear this week's show. So we're a week behind on the radio, but we are always live right here.
And that's in my bedtime window, so I can listen to it.
I actually listened to it on the way home the other day. Kind of by accident, I flipped the station on. I went, oh, that's us.
How was it?
Well, it was pretty good.
Nice.
It was pretty good. Yeah, the sound was good. Doug has to talk into his mic a little bit better because, we were having trouble hearing him. But other than that, yeah, it sounded really good. I've had compliments from some professionals that say that our sound is good. So I got a good board. And, we're doing all right. What
Rock
can I tell
on.
you? Yeah. So, and we appreciate, like I say, our listeners. And if you are tuned in to either YouTube or Facebook, you can participate in a minute. We're going to do our little quiz, and you can jump in if you want on our comments and tell us what you think the answers are, or you can just listen. That's okay, too. At this point, I want to talk about our word of the day. Can you remember how to say it? That's the question.
I'm going to give it a go, but if you had to say it correctly for like $1 million, I don't think I could do it.
Oh, I could. For $1 million, I could do it because I remembered what you said before we came on.
Yep.
I remember, and that's going to make it easy.
All right.
You ready?
Yeah.
Paroxysm. How about that? Yeah, not bad, huh? We had to listen to this like 5 times before we came on because we want to put the emphasis on a different syllable. So
Well, it's an eye challenge when you look at it.
Yeah.
It doesn't, look at that word and say pear.
yeah, it doesn't feel right. Even though, because you would say par, right? P-A-R, par, not pear.
Yeah,
And it's paroxysm. And it just doesn't feel right.
Midwest Ohio, I always go with the and the A.
yeah.
So I almost never use the long A sound.
Yeah. So paroxysm is the word of the day, and I'm going to read the most current because Ed always pulls up his old dictionary. A fit, attack, or sudden increase or recurrence of symptoms as of a disease, a convulsion. Or number 2, a sudden, violent emotion or action, outburst, a paroxysm of rage. So those are my 2 definitions for paroxysm. It's a hard word to wrap your head around, truly, at least for me. How about you?
Yeah, and the definitions are virtually exactly the same.
Really?
I do notice, though, there's it looks like it's from Greek.
Yes.
Right? So
Middle English, I can write it down, Middle English and Greek. Yeah, Middle English and Greek, 15th century.
Well, I was going to say Greeks were previous to the 15th century, weren't they?
Yeah, but they just didn't get to this one until later.
I guess.
What can you say?
Yeah.
They can't make up everything right away, right?
Well, this is just like if you're diseased. I mean, to me, it's like a catch-all.
You think? I don't know. A convulsion, though?
I mean,
That's not-
so if it's food poisoning, if it's, right, we could go with the disease.
A paroxysm of coughing is the example they give, or a paroxysm of laughter. So that's an interesting one. So I can tell you, as an example, John had MS, and with MS, sometimes you have uncontrollable crying or laughing. So that could be a paroxysm, right?
Yep,
Because
yep.
it's an outburst that you don't have control over.
But you know, I mean, it's not unpredictable.
How do you say that? Why would you say
Well,
that?
because it says recurrence.
Well, it is recurring.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But recurring, I get not recurring from like a minute ago, but recurring from a day ago
Right.
or another time.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it definitely, in my eyes, it's uncontrollable. If you're doing a convulsion of some sort, you're certainly not controlling that. That's sort of,
Right? There's the hiccups.
yeah, exactly. That's true. That could be. So, let's do some.
What do you get?
Synonyms.
Synonyms. I was going to say you got a sentence.
Nope. Well, I can do a sentence too, but I've got synonyms. Agony. Now, that is the first one. Of course, they do these alphabetically, I guess, but why would you say agony is a synonym for paroxysm? It isn't.
Nope.
But I will say the rest of these are pretty good. Burst, eruption, fit. Flare up, I don't count. It's a hyphenated word. Why would you use that? Flush, I guess like a flush of, emotion maybe?
You can get blush over all kinds of stuff.
That's true. Gush. Gush is pretty good. Outburst. Storm. Blaze. Ebullition. I'd have to look that up.
I would too.
Ebullition. I have not seen that word. I have to be honest, and it may be showing my ignorance. How about explosion? Flare? Flash? Gale? I'm not hearing any gust? Spasm? What do you
So
think?
explosion doesn't leave anything else for recurrence.
Well, we never agree with the synonyms, but
Yeah.
at least there you go. You got some synonyms to go on. What can I tell you? All right.
And if you use this word, right, I mean, how many times do you think it was used today in the world?
3.
Well, we mentioned it like 10 times
Well, yeah,
without saying
we
it.
did,
But
but-
outside of us, I don't think this is
I don't think it's a popular word.
common vernacular.
Not really, not really. So, Ed, I think you're going to be the main culprit in having to answer the Thanksgiving Day questions. Are
Okay.
you ready for that? You do well. I'm
Let's
sure you'll
see.
do well.
Let's see.
Yeah, this was taken from Britannica, so just want to give credit where credit is due. So, and these are multiple guesses. What we got there? We got some notes going on here. Oh, we're a little scratchy today, huh? Wonder why.
I don't have a cold coming on.
That's kind of weird. I don't know that there's much I can do to adjust that. I'm sorry if it's...
I don't know why we would be sounding scratchy.
I don't know what to do about that. Because everything here is looking okay. And so if you're getting a scratchy sound, I apologize for that.
We have no pets with us today.
No pets, no nothing. So that's very weird, though, because everything looks right. What can I tell you? I'm going to try. All right, well, maybe drop us a note in the comments and let us know if your sound is scratchy as well, and maybe at the break I can try and do some things and see if I can make
Is
something.
that a synonym for paroxysm?
Paroxysm.
I keep wanting to say parox.
Yeah, no, not parox. It's paroxysm. It's a weird word. All right, so here's our you're welcome to guess in the comments if you'd like, or you can text us at 775-399-2888. And so the first question in our Thanksgiving Day quiz, in 1863, which U.S. president proclaimed the last Thursday in November to be a national day of Thanksgiving? So I will give you the choices. Ready? Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, George Washington, and Abraham Lincoln.
So, right, I've been listening to those Lincoln heating commercials about some
Have you?
It must be it. 1963 is Abraham Lincoln.
1863.
1863. he probably did it for Virginia City.
Yeah, it was a dead giveaway. The 1863. Yes, Abraham Lincoln is correct. All right, so here we go. This is true false, and right up your alley, I think. Oh no, this is a little bit different. Shortly after a hard. Oh, sorry. This is the explanation. Shortly after a hard-fought victory at the Battle of Gettysburg, Lincoln declared the last Thursday in November to be set aside as a day of Thanksgiving. So, and I would say that I'm enjoying this Thanksgiving because the elections are done.
So,
And even though we have a lot of work ahead of us, that part's done.
well, right.
So I give
so-
thanks.
Well, Thanksgiving's unlike other holidays, being the last Thursday. It's not on the 3rd. It's not on the 4th Thursday, right? Like our Social Security checks, right?
Depends on who you are.
Well, right, but it messes up schedules because it's the last week. It's not consistent with anything.
Right. And there were people on Twitter last night. I was trolling through Twitter, and there were, oh, that was interesting. We're hearing a bling coming in. Maybe it's your phone.
No, it's on.
Anyway, all right, we got some ghosty in here making noises with us. There were people that were saying, is this the Mandela effect? The fact that we think that I think that it should have been on the 3rd Thursday of the month, right? And there's no way. So, but people were trying to kind of make that little thought out
Well,
there.
right. I mean, Thanksgiving's Thanksgiving, just like it's like a random holiday almost.
Right, it is. Okay, so tryptophan in turkey causes severe drowsiness. True or false? And you're the nutrition guy. You know that one?
So it's true.
Well, they're going to argue with you. Tryptophan can make a person sleepy, but this does not happen when combined with other amino acids, of which turkey has plenty.
So, right. So I got an ad lib onto that question.
Okay.
So, right. It's Thanksgiving weather right now, right? So
You're
back
getting
in,
sleepy?
so back in the day, no, they had hot fires inside, right? There weren't central air. So you had hot fires and you came inside from hunting or whatever, playing football, and you'd stuff yourself and you'd sit in front of a hot fire
And then go to sleep.
and the tryptophan would work.
Ah. So that's your take on it.
That's my take.
And their take is more likely the culprit is simply over-consuming rich foods, which is kind of similar to what you're talking about,
Bada bing, bada boom.
which redirects blood flow away from the brain to the stomach. So there you go. So it's not your turkey.
So
fault.
right now there is a very interesting look, right? So like your blood's going to your belly or your brain.
There you go.
Race and just ask that question of everyone you cross paths with,
Well, there you go.
and go, where does their blood go?
Not a question I'm going to be asking, especially at the dinner table. All right, which of these foods was most likely served at the first Thanksgiving in 1621? All right, here's our choices. Cranberry sauce, candied yams, pumpkin pie, or cornbread.
Gotta go with the cornbread.
And you would be right on the cornbread. That's what it is. There you have it. Colonists did not have access to wheat flour.
I don't think they knew what sugar was.
Yeah, so there were no crusts for traditional Thanksgiving pies. Cranberries wouldn't be served as sauce for another 50 years. And the first known recipe for candied yams appeared in 1889, not 1621. So there you have it.
So the first Thanksgiving happened 20 years or almost 20 years before candied yams happened?
Yeah, you couldn't have
That's
those things.
noteworthy.
You must like candied yams. All right, so which of these foods was definitely not served at the first Thanksgiving in 1621? Mashed potatoes, venison, corn, or turkey?
Venison.
Oh,
No, turkey. Sorry, turkey.
oh, actually, it's mashed potatoes.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
No potatoes.
Yeah, potatoes originated in South America.
And the turkey's wild. That's a bad guess on my part.
Yeah, kinda, huh? And sweet potatoes came from the Caribbean. Neither had made their way to the north by 1621. So that, knowing your time periods is kind of part of this, right? I would have gotten it wrong, I'm pretty sure. So-
No, I should have got the protein right.
All right, next one. Whose appearance regularly marks the end of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade? You ready? Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, the Mayor of New York, or Santa Claus?
It'd be funny if it was Eric Adams, the mayor of New York. However, I believe that is Chris Kringle.
There you go, Mr. Santa Claus himself. The annual Thanksgiving Spectacular began in 1924 as Macy's Christmas Parade and didn't include its trademark balloons until 1927. So there you go. All right. We have more. You want to do more?
Yeah.
You interested? Okay. All right. You'll like this one. What professional football team has played on nearly every Thanksgiving Day since 1934? So here are your choices.
I know the answer.
Okay. Do you want me to?
So, right, this is a funny thing, right? I'm from Southern Ohio. In fact, my mom and dad were from Portsmouth, Ohio. The Detroit Lions came from Portsmouth, Ohio.
Oh, how about
They
that?
were the Portsmouth Spartans before they were the Detroit Lions. And when they moved, after winning a championship to Detroit, the owners weren't getting fans in the seats, and so they used a Thanksgiving promotion.
Oh, how
And
about
so
that?
the Detroit Lions have played on Thanksgiving virtually ever since.
Ding, 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 ding. That is correct. That is the right answer.
Portsmouth Spartans.
Well, it's actually Detroit Lions,
Yep.
but yes, you're correct. New team owner George A. Richards came up with the idea for his team to play on the holiday to boost awareness and ticket sales. Your history is good. It worked. The Lions played to a sellout crowd and have continued the tradition every year since, except for a pause between 1939 and 1944. Good job. I knew you'd know. All right, here's another one. And this is a true-false. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention advises against cooking stuffing inside a turkey. Is that true or false? Not that we always agree with the Center for Disease Control,
Right.
folks, but
So the Center for Disease Control prefers everything be cooked separately into temperature.
Right.
So they are against that.
right, so the answer would be true.
Yeah.
You're right. Yep. Yeah, so you know the reason behind that, so there you go. All right, next one. Which U.S. president began the annual tradition of pardoning a turkey? Okay, so here's your choices.
I think I know, but go
You want me to
ahead.
give you choices?
Please.
Abraham Lincoln,
Eh,
Theodore Roosevelt,
eh,
Franklin Roosevelt,
eh.
and George H.W. Bush.
There you go.
Well, there you go.
It's the
Sure.
rush.
You call him Mr. Bush, I'm calling him George.
Okay.
All right, Abraham Lincoln is said to have issued a reprieve to a turkey befriended by his son Tad, but in 1989, George Bush was the first to formally pardon the usual Thanksgiving guest of honor.
And you know what? I'm going to have to give President Biden credit for that because either yesterday or today, I watched him pardon Peach and Blossom this year.
Well, I was going to ask you if you'd seen anything on it.
And he gave credit to George Bush for being
Oh,
the first president
how about that?
to pardon turkeys.
Yeah, I wondered. I'd heard something about it. I didn't watch it myself, but good for him.
I
Good for
saw
him.
it. They have one of the turkeys. I guess one of them was unruly, but one of them was kind of on display.
All right. Our next question. Spurred on by economic reasons, Franklin Roosevelt made what change to Thanksgiving? So they're going to have 4 choices for what change did Franklin Roosevelt make. And the first one made it earlier in the year, made it a 2-day holiday, canceled it, advocated for chicken instead of turkey.
You know, self-employed folks and entrepreneurs don't know, but the rest of the world and the federal government get 2 days off.
Right? So you think that's right?
That's my answer. I
Okay.
could be wrong, but
Well, this time you didn't get it. It was made it earlier in the year. Thanksgiving had traditionally been celebrated on the last Thursday of November. In 1939, that happened to be the last day of the month, curtailing the Christmas shopping season during the tail end of the Great Depression. FDR moved Thanksgiving to be a week earlier. Detractors called this Franksgiving. After 2 years, Congress set the holiday at the 4th Thursday.
wow.
So that's a very convoluted answer, isn't it? Didn't it sound like it was like they said it was earlier, but now it's not earlier?
So I think it's just so relevant to today. Look, they battle over this and that, and there's a dude who just wanted to move Thanksgiving up, so the retailers had an extra week
Yep.
of sale.
Yep. Well, Congress took care of that.
I don't-
4th Thursday.
Don't tell President Trump, he might do that.
Never can tell. Okay. What indigenous people participated in the first Thanksgiving of 1621? I'd be surprised if you knew this one. I would.
Well, right. I mean, so like there's now, right, indigenous folks, I mean, within every state have names and segments and subgroups and
So, are you ready to hear
It
the...
would have to be, so I would guess.
No, let me give you the...
I
yeah,
get a
no,
guess.
you get a guess.
Okay.
Yes, okay. I'd still be surprised if you know, but... So the indigenous people that participated in the first Thanksgiving, were they the Navajo, the Wampanoag, the Seminole, or the Ute?
So the Utes out here, I think, and the Navajo were in the middle of the West. I think that Florida would be the Seminole, and that's where I would go.
Okay, and I was pretty sure you wouldn't get this one. It was the Wampanoag.
Oh.
I've never even heard of them, I'm afraid, and I'm, again, showing my ignorance.
Well,
because-
right, are they from Roanoke?
Well, the Wampanoag, I hope I'm saying it right, lived on land which now constitutes parts of Rhode Island and Massachusetts.
Yeah, I haven't.
And having never been to Rhode Island or Massachusetts, I'm not going to be very versed on that. All right, here we are.
Sorry, I missed that one. I wasn't very good on that.
Oh, no, that's okay. You did good on a lot of them, though. Wow, probably better than I would. Last one, you ready?
I'm ready.
Besides the United States, what other country celebrates Thanksgiving? Do, 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 do. Okay, I'm going to give you choices. Mexico, France, Great Britain, or Canada.
Yeah, it's Canada.
Yeah, you
I
got
thought
that
it
right.
was. I was waiting for it to fall, but that's the only one.
There you go. So, Canadian Thanksgiving dates back to 1578. So they were ahead of us. We were 1621, they're 1578.
How can a country have like Thanksgiving before they were a country?
Well, when explorer Martin Frobisher held a celebration in Nunavut to give thanks for the safety of his fleet. None of it.
None of it.
None of it. Today, it's held on the second Monday in October, so Canadians celebrate then. How about that?
So, best I know, their growing season has to be like way shorter than ours, right? But what do they got in October 10th? The first freeze?
I'm not done. How? Oh no, I am done. Sorry.
I mean, right, so October maybe is that the end of their growing season? That was it. I mean, seems to me like you don't hardly have time to collect stuff from your harvest for a Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Or everything's done.
Yeah, I don't know. What can I tell you? There you go.
And I didn't hear anything about fish.
No, nothing in there.
I
about
thought
that.
I'd hear
Yeah.
some fish thing.
Yeah, nothing at all.
Huh.
No. Anyway, so that's all I have for our lovely Thanksgiving stuff. But I think that was fun.
Yeah.
And you were a good sport.
I mean, I'm a product of Thanksgiving. I remember, right, so my grandmother, where she was raised, the house that was built there is a place we always go back to. And likely my mom and aunts will be there on Thursday. And men used to go rabbit hunting before, right? So they'd come in, we'd show up day of Thanksgiving, we'd have our velvet cake and all the stuff and hustle it inside, and the shed would have all these rabbits nailed on it
Oh, wow.
from hunting.
Oh,
Right, so the rabbits would be there and they'd be in the tobacco shed stripping tobacco.
interesting.
But anyway, that time of year, tobacco cures and comes in case and it needs to be touched. And anyway, that's what Thanksgiving, that raw tobacco smell and anyway, and weather just like we're having.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of like our weather. It's cool, but still like it.
Yeah.
So I said that we'd probably talk some election stuff, and so I do have a story here that's really kind of positive. Can you believe that?
I've been seeing some hints of positivity.
I know, it's actually a good one.
Well, it is because the folks that are negative are standing alone because of it.
True. There's a lot of ways to address that comment, but for the moment, I'm going to go with this is from Red State, and the headline is Radical Transparency or Risky Gamble. Idaho County puts ballots online for all to see. So all those folks who have been complaining because you can't see the ballots, you can't see how the people voted, all that, these folks are actually going to try to restore trust in elections. Because after questions still linger about the possibility of fraud and errors influencing the outcome of various races. So after the controversy over the outcome of the 2020 election, Ada County officials recognized the need to build trust in election processes and began looking into ways to promote transparency in the system. So they
are wise.
And I think they are. What software were they using? Did any parts come from China? Were the machines vulnerable to hacking? Outlandish claims were spreading in conservative circles across the country that votes had been discarded or altered in coordinated effort to rig the election. So Trent Triple, a Republican who had worked in the Ada County's clerk's office and was elected to lead it starting last year, said he was convinced there was a solution. What am I hearing? Oh, the door's open. That's what I'm hearing. I wondered how that happened.
It just is a long note.
Oh, sorry. So anyway, Ada County Clerk's Office was elected to lead it starting last year, so he was convinced there was a solution that could help people gain confidence in their elections once more. It was time to publish the ballots for everyone to see. I was tired of everybody questioning elections in Idaho, Mr. Triple said. The idea is to get the vast majority of people back into this bucket of trusting elections. How cool is that? I mean,
That's the way it should be.
Exactly.
Washoe County, are you listening?
I know. Well, I'm going to send this information to them and say, hey, can you guys look into this? Because there's a sample that they can have a sample of this. They can have a, what do you call it? A preview.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say.
Well, they've had endless opportunities to get a clue. Here's but another.
Yep. The county worked with software company Civera, that's Civera, to develop the Ballot Verifier program, which allows users to sort ballots by precinct or voting method without exposing the identities of the voters. Well, the ballot has not got any kind of identity on it, so one should not be worried about that. People can search through the database and view different ballots with private information redacted. I'm not sure what private information would be there, but okay.
Do people think they get a different ballot than others?
I don't know. In this way, the county seeks to make the election process transparent and easier to audit. Some voters marked ballots. So this is interesting because I thought if you marked the ballot with anything on it, it was done. It was going to be tossed. But apparently in Idaho, maybe you can. Some voters marked ballots with unique identifiers so they could verify later that their votes were counted. They used markings such as a serial number on a $2 bill and other things. So that's interesting.
So they marked it on their ballot, and this guy puts it back up so they can see if it's actually the same one.
Right.
Like the one where they put up yours with a fake signature.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, if this system works, we could see other counties across the country adopting the program. So, let me see if there's more to this. Yeah, it says, according to the New York Times piece linked above, officials around the nation who are looking for ways to restore confidence among voters. That's interesting.
And we could use confidence from voters here. I mean, just the fact that it takes so long looks like you're inept.
Right, exactly.
I mean, the process, regardless of why it takes 2+ weeks here in Nevada, is embarrassing. And
they're counting in California, by the way.
it makes us look like, Mexico would have their ballots counted by now.
Right. They need to be more transparent as to what the problems are and why it takes so long.
So I think it's so funny because the approach from Idaho is, right, we're not
Take a look.
we're not transparent enough. We're not being forthcoming with the voters. Where folks here are like, voters don't have a right.
That's right. That's
Right? They think they have a kingdom here. Where's the democracy here?
Well, in Idaho, they're saying anyone with an internet connection can now become an auditor using the ballot verifier program to filter ballots by specific races, individual precincts, or ballots that were cast by mail. Reactions to the program have largely been positive. I would think they'd be very positive, with many praising the initiative for its potential to build trust in elections while combating misinformation. However, some have expressed concerns about privacy and the potential for vote buying.
I was going to say, and the potential for accuracy. Right? I know there's a whole swath of Americans that want accuracy.
So one area of concern in the program is making sure ballot privacy is maintained. Again, there's no name on your ballot. Now, there is one instance, and maybe they're going to address it. The Ada County effort will redact ballots in small precincts, and that's what I was thinking of, where people voted so that deducing a single person's vote would not be possible. So you have a precinct with really...
With like 10 people.
Yeah, you're probably going to be able to tell. But so I can see that. But beyond that, you're not going to be able to tell
Right.
who's voting for whom. Other counties, such as Tarrant County, Texas, have also adopted the system. Oh, cool. Which could signal that there's already interest in the results it could deliver. It's only a matter of time before that trend catches up to all the sectors of government, including elections, Adam Friedman, CEO of Severo, remarked. If this system works as it seems, then it could go a long way toward addressing valid concerns about election integrity. A program that allowed users to view each ballot without exposing people's identities. Again, there's no names on these things.
It sounds like the perfect solution.
It would be a great way to not only build trust in elections, but also identify suspicious activity. Exactly. I mean, nothing is perfect and nobody's perfect, and there's going to be errors along the way, but you can't say it's always perfect. But this would certainly help to build trust.
I think so.
I think it's great.
Yep.
That's an awesome. I'm glad I got that story before the show.
Yeah, well, we've talked before, right? Like, we can go back and see if we voted or not.
Right, but even that, yeah. And the only thing they tell us is that the ballot was received. They don't even count it. Well, it's convoluted and difficult. And it's difficult to be accurate with that as well, because otherwise then they know who voted, right? And who you voted for, if they could tell you when you voted. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there.
Well, they know all that.
You think they do?
They could.
They might.
Best I know, they should know a lot more than they do.
Well, I don't know. And with the new system, who knows, So the Federalist I found this story early today, thanks to some folks on Signal that shared the story. This person says, no idea who voted. Georgia County official says she was forced to certify the election without crucial documents. So what happened is on November 12th, the Fulton County Board of Registration and Election certified the results of the 2024 election. Except no one knows with certainty if the results were actually accurate because crucial data was withheld, according to a member of the board. President-elect Donald Trump won the Peach State but lost Fulton County to Vice President Kamala Harris by 240,097 votes. The results were then certified on November 12th, but board members, who are considered the superintendents of elections, were not given access to all the requested election-related documentation. So one of the members, Julie Adams, said, I, along with all my board members, did not receive the numbered list of electors, so which is the actual names, along with their voter register numbers by precinct and by the method in which they voted, or a list of the number of votes cast by precinct or by vote method. So I have no idea who voted and the votes cast. So in essence, and I don't want to, it's a pretty long article, but in essence what happened is a judge had ruled that they had to certify the election even if it was wrong.
Well, and I would go, and I'm just ignorant, what qualities make votes certifiable?
Well, they were asking for certain documents to confirm.
Well, right.
Chain of custody, things like that, and make it certifiable. The legislature has guidelines for those things, so they should be able to check particular items.
If it looks like it's going fine, it's certifiable.
No, they need to balance. There are things they need to balance properly. How many votes came in? How many ballots went out? I mean, you can't have more ballots coming in than what went out, right? I mean, that's one thing right there.
I bet it's probably pretty common. For sure, way more go out than come in, right?
True. Yeah. But somehow that should be, we should know they were undeliverable then they should be coming back. If they're mailed out, they should be coming back.
Well, right, but what I'm saying is these county supervisors in this particular case, they take the time to go, oh, there's 5 of these and 6 of these. And,
right.
And then they judge that. I mean, that's where I was going. What do you go, oh, it looks like 95% of it went good, so I'm certifying it.
No, what she said is that the election director, Nadine Williams, who's in charge of providing the documents to board members, said that there was a delay in producing the reports because the board had to adjudicate more than 8,000 ballots that failed to credit qualified write-in candidates. So this person said she repeatedly asked Williams about the status of the documents, but never received them. So there was a specific item that she was waiting for.
Well, right, and that's why, what could that be?
So, and they did seek out this person, Williams, to ask if she would comment on the article, and she didn't comment. So Adams said she feared that not voting yes on certification could lead her to face criminal charges or lawsuits because she was previously threatened by the Democrat Party of Georgia in March after she refused to rubber stamp the results of the presidential preference primary without getting election-related documents. She filed suit in a May response seeking clarification about whether her role is discretionary, meaning, she has the...
Can she do it?
Yeah. Or ministerial, like they say it is here in Nevada, meaning members must rubber stamp the results regardless of any concerns. And there's nothing in our statute, by the way, that says that it's ministerial. That is something that people are saying, but there's nothing in the statute that dictates that.
They're making policy.
Well, it seems that they are. I was wondering if my thoughts, Adams said about her thoughts when voting yes to certify. First, I was thinking, couldn't I be held legally liable for a vote either way? I have a court order that says I have to say yes, but I have an oath that says I will make a true and perfect return. I'm in legal jeopardy no matter what I do. It's a very uncomfortable feeling. I'm on a voluntary board, and I'm risking legal jeopardy. So she volunteers to do this, and yet she's at risk. So
I have. So what is she at risk of? She's just fear of a lawsuit?
well, criminal charges.
So I get it, but if she's got, in fact, conflicting edicts that she's sworn to, it would seem that her tail is covered.
How?
So her oath of office covers that, right? I mean, where I was getting into
Well, but she's saying if she was going to honor her oath, she would have voted no. But she couldn't honor her oath because if she did, she'd be going against what the judge told her that she had to vote yes. It's not a vote if you have to vote yes.
well, right?
That's not a vote.
It's not a choice.
No, that's not a vote.
And so best I know, the judge didn't give her a choice.
No.
And to go to supervisors here in Washoe County, why do they have to do it if they don't have a choice?
It's true. Why are they bothering?
Well, right, there's
Yeah.
a real reason for
Yeah.
it that they're hiding.
So she says, my president won. I want to go on the record that I proudly voted for President Donald Trump. I would have questioned and wanted to verify the results no matter who won. Adams said, my focus is for Fulton County elections to be free, fair, and transparent. And despite President Trump winning, I still have questions about elections being free, fair, and transparent. And I think that the opposing side to Trump and the Republicans doesn't get it. It doesn't matter if he won. If it's not done fairly and honestly in all the races, we'll redo it. Redo it.
It's tainted.
Yeah. And it doesn't.
It shouldn't be certified.
No, it shouldn't be. So, at any rate, you get the gist of the picture of this is that this poor lady is kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, and she had to vote yes, and so she did, but making it clear that she doesn't feel that she should have. And she did it anyway, so what can you say? It's a crazy world. We're in a crazy world, right?
Well, when judicial folks make you do something that's contrary to a sworn testimony or an oath of office, I don't know, that's not right.
And speaking of ranked choice voting, no, I know we weren't. But speaking of ranked choice voting,
Ranked choice voting.
we won here in Nevada, and it was no on 3, which was the ranked choice voting initiative, and it was voted down, and this was the second vote, and if it had gotten a yes, it would have been law.
We all talk about scaring.
Yep. But in Alaska, where they have ranked choice voting, they had an initiative to repeal it, and apparently they're going to go into a recount because it was very close. And they're going to see, whether or not it can be, if it was really voted to stay. So, I don't know. Don't know what's going to happen with
So
that one.
they got a recount going on that?
They do. Yeah. We got to call Phil and see if we can get him on here. We had Phil Izon, he's the one who actually got the signatures with a group of folks, obviously, not himself, but he wrangled up a bunch of people and they went out there and got signatures to put this on the ballot to repeal ranked choice voting. And he advised us here in Nevada a lot as far as, the things we could do to hopefully defeat the measure. And we were fortunate to do it.
Well, I'd like to see which races of theirs were ranked choice voting and who won.
Yeah, no, that would be interesting, wouldn't
Right?
it?
I mean, it is.
We should look at that.
Yeah.
We should take a look at that and see if we
Because
can
to me-
and call him on and see if he can help us
To see
understand.
if what we think would happen has happened.
Right.
Right? I
Right.
mean, it's kind of a test.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think we should take a look. What the heck?
I mean,
And hopefully we're not still scratchy out there, folks. I don't know if we are, and I'm sorry
I
if
mean,
we
I
are.
think Sarah Palin lives in Alaska, and I think,
does.
didn't Trump give her something to do?
Oh, I don't know. I
I
didn't hear
mentioned
that.
their name, but I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything. But, so there's still a lot going on with elections, and as I said, California is still counting.
That's impossible.
I think it's nuts. I think it's absolutely nuts.
It is impossible that they can't have been done.
Yeah. We do have a couple more minutes, and I want to mention, too, there was a Judicial Watch. If you've ever gone to judicialwatch.org, they have a Homeland Security records confirm extensive government censorship of conservative social media during the 2020 election. You know, when I first heard that the government was censoring, I don't know, you kind of get a picture of, who's actually, making that phone call to Twitter and to Facebook and all of that. But I mean, they're talking, in this article, they went through all the different agencies that are connecting with the, universities and different folks that are connecting with the social media people and telling them to shut people down.
So
it just makes no sense to me.
So it does, right? That's education, right? They don't want folks to learn and have options. It's option limiting.
Yeah, well, it's not the right way to go with this. So, freedom of speech is very important. Very, very important.
And a dying breed.
We couldn't be doing what we're doing today if we didn't have freedom of speech, right? I mean, it's just one of those things.
No, totally.
Right? So we're happy we do. And we're getting ready to take our break here between the first hour and the second hour. Second hour, we're going to talk some publishing stuff and blockchain and some interesting things.
I was going to say, right, crypto's going wild.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, I think that and I also have a story from the Democrats as far as what their reactions are. I thought that would be interesting to share because it's been so quiet, right? No riots, no crazy stuff going on, which is good.
Well, by the people, but like I said, our Attorney General did a presentation, basically said, we don't care, we're taking on our fight. Right. He's not listening to the people. He's listening to the last Congress.
Right.
Right. He's not listening to the current vote, and they're going ahead and doing what they want in Nevada, right? Blue State, Nevada.
Oh, and I will talk to you about that.
Call him up and tell him to listen to the people.
Yes, we do have to have him listen to the people. You're correct about that.
I thought they knew about democracy.
Well, I don't know.
It's only a democracy if you do what they say.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. So I'm just putting my little sign up there that says that we're going to go on a little break here for probably about 8 minutes, and we'll be back.
So underneath the picture up there, you have all those little like icon-y things.
Yeah.
So it looks like serious business. It looks like serious work. Look at all those. See what I'm saying?
I know. People can't see that, but you can.
Oh. Sorry, folks.
That's all right.
Not to pique your interest in case your name is on it.
Yeah, we got some interesting stuff there. All right, so we are going to take our break. You're listening to What's the Story, and we will be back with hour number 2, talking some publishing, and like I say, I got some Democrat stuff, a couple of things. So hang in there, and we'll be right back. Hey, we're welcome back.
We're unmuted.
We're unmuted.
We're unmuted.
By the way, but you know.
Well, sorry if you missed the last 35 minutes.
Yes, exactly. So this is What's the Story? I'm Janice Hermson here with Ed Knoll. This is our second hour, and it is November 26th, a couple of days before Thanksgiving, and 2024. And if you're listening to a replay on 93.7, welcome back to us here, and hopefully you're enjoying the show. I'm going to talk a little publishing this hour. I had a story about kind of what the Democrats were doing, but I am not able to locate it right now, so I'll have to do that one next week. But I just wanted to make sure.
I think that'd be an interesting discussion on that.
Yeah, because there's a website called What to Do If Trump Wins. I think that was what it was called. I'll get the exact name of the website. And it was live prior to the election, or What If Trump Wins? That's what it's called. WhatIfTrumpWins.com or .org. I'm not sure which. And so I kind of looked at it. I thought, oh, what are they thinking? So I read it, and then as soon as he won, I went back to it, and it was gone. So they updated it. And because I went back about, a few days later, and it was back up. They're really addressing the emotional issues that people are dealing with, which is kind of interesting to me because
they created this hate.
Yeah.
And now, because he won, people feel bad when they shouldn't.
And I had a relative from the Midwest that called, and she said, are you doing the Trump dance? And I was like, it's not like that. It's just, not for me anyway, maybe it is for you, but for me it's like, no, we just want some normalcy, right? We just want things to kind of get calm.
Things to work, right? You have
and no inflation.
Things to work and things to get fixed and government to work for the people. It just seemed, certainly at the high end, they weren't like governing for me.
No.
I mean, I know they weren't, right? And I don't know, maybe some of you they were governing for, but it just didn't seem like the people.
And the people that I did talk to weren't voting for Kamala, they were voting against Trump, and I don't know. I don't know what the expectation would be for their own lives, right? I mean, if you're voting against somebody who gave us a good economy, and those are the things that affect us.
So people are putting their personal opinions ahead of success of everybody.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense.
It's embarrassing, and it's a small world.
Yeah, it just really didn't make sense to me.
That's cruel. I mean, it's just mean-spirited, right? We're optimistic.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of president.
Right. Yeah, because I had no hate for Biden. It wasn't that kind of thing. I just thought he was inept.
Well, right.
Totally inept. And if he did all the things and participated in the corruption, yeah, I'm not happy about that, and I want to see justice done, but it's not personal.
Yeah, it was just government malaise, lethargy.
Yeah, so I think that's the difference, is that was all personal on the side of the
left.
Yes.
They think Trump is, for what, and I will say, don't listen to this one, Mom. My mom hates him with a passion, and my brother and I often talk. If President Trump had the cure for cancer, she wouldn't care. Right?
There are a lot of people like that.
And she was sold that bill of goods, and as an individual bought that BS. And, like always, in a couple of years, she'll turn around going, wow, what happened to me? Right? It's like going off on having a summer fling with somebody you shouldn't be with, right? It's like, whoa, how was that? That was fun, but I'm glad it's over.
Your analogy is interesting. Wow. What can I tell you? So, yeah, but I think that it's hard. And so, like I say, I found this article about what the Democrats are going to do now. And then I saw something from General Flynn, too, that was pretty serious stuff as far as his evaluation of what to expect next. And then Mika And Joe from, what is it, that morning show, Mornings with Joe or whatever it is.
Joe Rogan show?
No, not Joe Rogan, no. The MSNBC.
Oh, I don't know their shows.
I want to say Coffee with Joe or Morning Coffee or whatever.
I don't want to.
At any rate, so they were hateful to President Trump, and apparently they had been friends prior. And they were just hateful and told their audience how horrible they were. The reason I know about them is because they had the guy that interviewed me and Susie on the show, and they talked about the recording that we did. So that's why I know who they are. And it was so interesting because then suddenly they're going to talk to President Trump and make amends after they told their audience that he was the scum of the earth. He was frightful, and he's a dictator, and I mean, you may know he was. Yes.
I mean, it was mean spirited.
Very. And so, how do you go from that and then go to your audience and say, "Oh, by the way, yeah, let's get along.
Yeah,
let's all get along."
only joking.
Yeah, let's all get along. And I'm for the all get along thing, but I know that there are a lot of folks that are on the right that aren't willing to overlook a lot of the things that have happened. So I guess it's on both sides of the fence. What can you say, right? It's just not pretty.
So it's like, there's just a group of people that don't want to, it's their way or the highway on both sides.
Yeah.
Right? When we need, and we've always talked about, we need statesmen. We need compromisers. We need people that find the common ground but move us forward, right? When you stand, so families, right? Do you have like a brother and you guys get in an argument and you haven't seen each other for 20 years? That's a loser philosophy. That doesn't work to heal families, and it doesn't work to heal governments either, right?
Yeah, and I guess this is kind of part of it. So the left sowed a lot of fear in their constituents. And in a way, this thing that I'm going to read right now is kind of doing the same thing to the right? And this is from General Flynn, and it's a threat assessment. Now, you can say, oh, but it's valid. Well, okay, maybe it is. I don't know, right? But we look to our leaders, or people we perceive to be leaders, to kind of give us the lay of the land, because we're not on that, I want to say that level, but we don't have those affiliations to know whether or not this is valid or not, right?
Well, right. Don't you think across the general spectrum, you have somebody who's here and here, right? All the way to here.
Right.
And as a president or someone choosing a path, right, they're going to have to pick one, which means you're in conflict with all the others.
I think I'm lost. I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm lost.
So,
I say that.
Well,
I'm
I'm
lost.
saying General Flynn's opinion is one of a lot of voices that
Oh, I got you
similar.
now. Okay, I'm with you now. Sorry, I wasn't there.
That's all right. I don't always help.
You try. Okay, so here's his threat assessment. Here are the scenarios I see that could be used to derail President Trump. And not totally unfair, because the last time Trump got in, obviously they did the Russia hoax, they did a lot of things. So I presume that's where he's coming from, right? So the first one, scenario one, assassination. Well, that makes sense because it's already been tried twice. So it's not an unrealistic threat. Says, however, the prior two assassination attempts known to the American people have already caused federal law enforcement to be viewed with such suspicion that there are likely other strategies in the works. So he's saying, I'm certainly not saying not to worry for this threat, just that it's not the only threat. Okay? Next scenario. Conventional resistance. The deep state certainly could be expected to resist President Trump's second term in the same way it resisted the first term, which kind of makes sense, right? So goes on about that. Scenario 3, violent resistance. Videos of illegal immigrants indicate that the bulk of persons illegally entering the nation during the Biden administration were military-aged men, including many from China, Middle East, Central and South American gangs. that were likely assisted by non-friendly nations or organizations. So there's every reason to believe that a fifth column lives among us, paid for by the government, which is to say, the taxpayer. And these people will not leave the country willingly. So you've got some people that probably are going home, right? Self-deporting because they know that President Trump's coming in. But then you got all that group of people that are trying to come in before he gets here, right? So I don't totally get all that. Scenario 4, provoking war. While President Biden has been stumbling around the forest, his administration authorized Ukraine's launch of the missiles to sites deep into Russia. So that's another option, right? And then scenario 5, false flag war. Should President Putin chose to be patient even while under attack, refusing to take the bait and retaliate, the deep state certainly has experience creating false flag attacks on the United States and blaming Russia. Unlikely Trump. If you have any doubt that this could happen, take the time to read a memorandum dated 13 March 1962 proposing just such a strategy to justify an attack on Cuba. Yeah, we know about that. So basically, in conclusion, best strategy the deep state has is to declare every pro-American anti-deep state policy to be sourced in Russia. A Putin puppet, a Russian agent, which is kind of what they're doing, right? Tulsi Gabbard, she's a Russian agent, I don't know.
I get it, and it's just the most ridiculous thing.
Yeah.
They are the perfect, soccer moms. Is that what we're expecting all of them to be?
No.
Or the perfect tranny, or the perfect... What is the epitome of a Democrat?
I don't know. I don't know that they know, at this
I'm pretty
point.
sure they don't. I think conservatives have kind of got an identity a little bit now.
More than before, I think.
Correct.
Yeah, and that whether you like it or not, that's because of Trump.
It totally is. It's
whether you like it or not.
Positive thing. He says things that we won't. Right? He says things I won't. I'll say it off air.
Yeah, you will. I've heard of it.
But President Trump says it on air.
Yes. All right, so let's switch gears and let's go into the publishing world a little bit. 13 publishing trends in 2025 to watch.
13?
13 of these puppies, yes. We got 13. And I did some earlier in the year, but these are a little more current. The continued rise of digital, but they're a lot the same, too, because although publishing keeps evolving, some of it just is the same over and over and over, right? Like in the industry, I guess. But you just keep waiting for the change because everything's changed so much. The continued rise of digital publishing is number one. AI and machine learning and content creation. And I think that's a really difficult one to even anticipate, right? The AI impact, because you just don't know what direction to go with that.
So I always think that it dumbs people down.
Some, yes, I agree.
The bulk, right? A big number.
Right.
But the ones that do the work are going to be like, look, they're human beings. One word in front of the other. We don't need a machine.
Right. Well,
it's ridiculous to
but
me.
the value, I think, in AI, and I've watched people who use it a lot. I'm not an AI fan, so I've done more observing than I have using. I tested it out, and I was disappointed for the most part. And we tried to use it for doing some images, and probably our lack of experience is part of it. But it just, just draw the thing. Just draw it or get somebody to draw it. It just makes more sense, right? So you have to really be, I guess, wise if you're going to use it. And I've seen people who've used it, and they did use it wisely because they knew it was incorrect or something was wrong. It's like looking something up and not knowing the right source to find. And AI doesn't always have the right source, and you got to know that. So you have to know something before you use it. Anyway, all right. So the evolution of self-publishing, it just keeps evolving. I don't know. That just is an ongoing thing, right? The growth of audiobooks. And they mentioned podcasts also, which I think is of note, because I don't remember in any of my other little things when I was looking things up that they mentioned podcasts at all. And authors need to pay attention to that because it's important.
I think it's a really big deal because younger folks get their news that way. It's
Yep.
flat out determined, right, that they don't watch mass media. They get their stuff from What's the Story and Joe Rogan, right?
Well, and the thing is, if you're using podcasts wisely, you can promote your books without having to spend a whole bunch of money. You're spending time, but you're not having to spend a bunch of money to do it.
Well, young folks, whether guys or gals, right, you have star fame, right? You got stars are approachable in sports. Draymond Green with the Golden State Warriors has his own podcast. All the
Right.
players have podcasts, so it's access to them.
Right, it's true.
And it's huge in the sports field.
Right, and then the impact of social media on publishing, and that impact is tremendous because again, where we didn't have access before, you have access now. You know, you can have I'm actually doing some market research on Twitter, doing the blue check mark thing. Does it matter? Does it make a difference? Does it help? Will I, be able to get more followers? Because the whole key when you're publishing something, whether you're an article writer, a musician, music publishing, or you're an author of a book, that's important to have that following. And how do you get it, right?
So be Elon Musk. Right, no, but Elon Musk does all the wild and wacky
Right.
and out-of-the-box things that authors should do
Yes.
to get their books, right? And Elon Musk, uses it to sell his fire extinguishers, right?
Whatever.
God.
Yes.
And it works. He just doesn't write books yet.
Well, and authors are so creative, right? I mean, they're creating stories from nothing. And so to not be able to use social media to your advantage, it's such a mistake to not take advantage of that. And you don't have to do every single platform. Pick one. Find one that you like. Maybe it's Instagram. Maybe it's, TikTok. Whatever it is, maybe it's Twitter. But find one and then work with it and see how it can benefit you.
I think timing is a big thing too, and I think timing is going to end up having rules and natural laws with it, because I think it's so funny. But right, if you're coming out with a pro-Biden book or a right now, right, you're probably going to fall on something. But if you got a Trump book right now,
or you might,
you can sell pages for $10.
actually, if you have a pro-Biden book, you might have people buying it just to see why. Why would you say that? Right?
Well, they might take it and put it in the shelf because in 10 years, right?
Hard to know.
Yeah.
Hard to know. But and again, it's all about approach. How do you approach that? All right. Niche markets and specialized content, subscription models and reader communities. Again, I'm kind of testing out the whole subscription model type thing. The role of blockchain in publishing. We're going to talk about that more because I found that really interesting. When I first looked at that, I said, I'm not familiar with that. And I should be, right? Because that's a new technology.
I think we should all get an education in macroeconomics because we're going to see some slashing and we need to know why.
Yeah, we do.
Right? And best I know, nobody knows squat about macroeconomics.
I don't.
Well, I know about enough to say it.
Yeah. Well, good. You can teach me. Globalization and localization of content. So again, this is making choices with your work. What direction do you want to take it? Are you going to be just on a local level? Are you going to take it to a broader scope? Are you going to hit the whole wide world?
Or are you going to be like President Trump and pretend like he's it's just all about us. We're going to hold it all in. And then he's going to move out.
Yeah, never can tell.
Fascinating.
Never can tell.
Fascinating.
Interactive and immersive content, the future of print publishing, regulatory changes, and copyright issues. And those things, the regulatory changes and copyright issues, those are constant. I mean, that's something that is always happening and is something that you need to be aware of and kind of keep your finger on, or at least have a source for it. They talk about sustainability and eco-friendly publishing. Depends on how you feel about that. We look at, it's a tough one because most of the time, especially for a smaller publisher or author, you're relying on the people that your vendor to do that. It's not really something that I would think as an individual you're going to have to worry about, right?
So, I don't know. Books are made from trees that are regrowable, right? It's just like paper bags at the grocery store, right? They are reforesting. There are more trees planted this year than last year, regardless of what you'll see and hear. But to me, it's a green industry. It's proven to be sustainable from the printing press, right?
Right. Well, let's talk about the blockchain thing because I was like, wow, I haven't seen anything on that. And then we're members of IBPA, which is the Independent Book Publishing Association. And I actually missed an article that they put out in 2023 about blockchain. Oh, actually, this one is 2018. And then there was another one in 2023. What publishers need to know.
And best I know, Bitcoin's about on the threshold of 100,000.
Oh, wow.
Per coin.
I did hear that. Yes, I did hear that. Do you have Bitcoin? Oh, big question.
No, I do not.
Oh, okay.
I'll be honest. I'm out there and a big talker, but I'm a pretty conservative investor.
Yeah, I actually have friends who are financial advisors, and I was way back in the day, but not kept up on it, so not familiar with the whole Bitcoin thing. So I called a couple of them and said, "Hey, update me. What do I need to know about this?" Silence.
And they say, stay away, right? It's banks. Banks don't want it. It's another money source, right?
Yeah.
It's another money source.
It was very funny, though, because I thought, oh, well, I'll go to the people I know, and they should be updated on that. And, well, if they are, they're not sharing.
Well, I do know folks who have invested in it, and I hope they do well.
I do too.
It's all scoreboard. We talk about that no matter what goes on, right?
Is it like the $2 bill? You have a bunch of them. And
when you hit the cash register, right? Do you get your $2 that you put in, or are you pulling out 10? Even regardless of what you call it.
Right. No, it's true. All right. So let's go back to my obviously not very versed on blockchain. And the industry source for that was very versed and trying to share, and we just missed it.
My biggest challenge with it is the energy required. All that work, right? It's work. It's indicative of work done by computers.
Right.
There's I don't know. I'm not an expert in
it. Nor am I.
But it can be mined from work done, and the energy required to do that would light up a small city. And I'm against the energy use to dig that up. I'm all for another currency or whatever, right. But why does it have to take so much energy?
Well, let's look at the whole blockchain thing. It says blockchain technology is new, and many are predicting it will bring genuine disruption to the publishing industry. Proponents liken the emergence of blockchain to the advent of the public internet, creating a new paradigm for doing business. No longer would we rely on humans to manage assets and people. Computer code would do the work. That's hard right there.
I was going to say, who is that? Is that Edward Jones?
Well, they're saying operations would be streamlined. Content creators could connect directly. This is an area where I do have an interest. Content creators could connect directly with consumers. So instead of me having to go through a distributor to get that work out, I can go direct to consumer, which I can do now. But there's a huge challenge in going direct to consumer. How do I get them to pay attention to little old me when they've got Amazon and they've got all the different
They're all enamored by the shiny stars of those big.
But if this would help to get direct to consumer, that could be a definite advantage. Then again, blockchain could be like the advent of ebooks, bringing change but not outright revolution. So this is from 2018. We're at 2024, 6 years later, and I'm still just now looking at it, right? Which means it has not made much of an impact, at least on the small publisher.
So it was usually political. So the Biden camp was deadly against it. And so Trump is
We're talking about
politics
Bitcoin
and
as opposed to
Bitcoin,
blockchain, which isn't necessarily
the same, but I think
it's
it is.
similar. It's similar. Yeah. Before publishers weigh in, they do well to learn more about blockchain's potential benefits and shortcomings, and the odds that it will be more than a blip in the news cycle. So far, it's only been a blip, right? I mean, that's what I would say, because I don't see, we're not getting a lot of information saying, oh, we're going to blockchain for this, that, and the other. Now, if you're in the data industry, I'm sure you know a lot more, and you probably have seen things on the horizon that we're not going to see right now, right? You may say, oh, I'm all wet. This is something that's really important, and it might be. But to the average person, to the writer, it's just not affecting us yet.
It's the same. There's so much information that people are fogged in it.
Right. The traditional marketplace relies on intermediaries to facilitate the exchange of assets. Blockchain facilitates such transfers without an intermediary, relying instead on a date-stamped series of digital records secured by peer-to-peer efforts. So I have to go back to elections, right? So here we are, and we're saying we don't like the idea of having this software, equipment, however you put it in your head as to what's going on with your voting. And now we're talking about using that for publishing assets, right? So how does that feel? It feels a little uncomfortable to me. That's just my personal feel, right?
Totally.
So blockchain transactions are open, visible, verifiable, and unalterable. Well, that could be good, right? And they have talked about that in the voting sphere.
Well,
well.
It's proprietary information, right? And writers' thoughts are proprietary.
Right. So Bill Rosenblatt, founder of Giant Steps Media Technology Strategies, identifies several potential blockchain applications in publishing: print supply management, royalties, licensing, piracy tracking, and ebook ownership transfers. I'd say if any of those application areas take off, it would be supply chain first. That's what he said. Probably the biggest advantage is that multiple companies that participate in a supply chain can deposit data on an ownerless blockchain, which would replace monolithic databases that are owned and operated by single entities. I'm not sure I get where he's going. You?
So I think where he's going at, remember when Apple and Google and even, the AI, right? Certain companies left their code open, and you know it.
True, yeah.
Right? And so everybody worked on it to help make it what it is, and by that, they get the participation, they think people use it.
Right.
It's the same there.
Okay, so he says this would save some participants on operating costs and make it so that a single company no longer controls, so you're right on that, all that information. I'm just testing you. Despite scalability.
These are just my opinions, mostly anyway.
That was good. He didn't read the article. Despite scalability challenges, large industries such as transportation, logistics are already looking seriously at blockchain technology. So I don't want to read the whole thing because it's really a long article, but it was published December 2018. It is online. Blockchain, what publishers need to know. So you can find that if you want to read this in full. But they talk about market innovation, licensing, it's really very inclusive. But I really kind of wanted to have a feel for how is blockchain going to affect our industry. The way that I see it as an advantage for us would be, again, that direct to consumer, because you lose so much money from the point of going from publishing to distribution. I mean, there's all those middlemen in there that are middlemen or women that are taking a piece of the pie, and when you're done, the author ends up with very little for all their hard work. And you have to sell a lot in order to make money. And that's just the name of the game, unfortunately. It's the name of the game in a lot of things, but I don't know. It just seems like, they spend years working on this stuff.
So, right.
That end up, $1
Well, right. You get into this, you want to, make $1 million, right? So, do you create a best-selling book? Best not, right? What do you make a book? Right? I mean, you get it down to, it's the same with my ex-wife. She could sell anything. She was a Tupperware queen. She was the Cookie Lee queen when she remarried, and her husband's a gem of a guy. I said, Jesse, man, got to get her selling Lear jets. Margins are big. She'll sell 4 and quit, but you'll be a rich guy, right? So margins matter.
Oh, that's funny. Margins do matter. They really do. And again, that goes back to the conversation I always have with authors saying, you have to look at, your investment and what kind of return do you anticipate to make on this, right? And most will say it doesn't matter. That's not what's important to me. It's not about the money. But ultimately, whether it is or not, somewhere that comes into the equation unless you're rich.
Well,
right?
don't you think, for people that just want their ideas out there, seems to me like break even is good. And
yeah, that's true.
But we would say that many authors don't get there.
Right, it's true, because the average author is going to sell between 100 and 200 books in the life of the book. Now, that's not everybody. You're a hustler, you're his ex-wife, you're going to sell more than that. But the average author, that's what we've seen, and they lose the momentum, whatever that is, or it was important at this point, but now it's not important anymore, or life gets in the way because it's not their primary focus. There's so many things that can happen.
It's one of the things that always, often, right, like this election, right? In the coming months and years, there'll be books out the wazoo on what Camilla did wrong, on what Trump did right.
Sure.
Right? And to me, who cares? By the time they come out, I've already made my own ideas.
Right.
And formulated I want that reading material now.
Right. Well, and that's the whole idea of finding that place
No, I get it, but
on social media where you can get that following, right? So that when you do put that little piece out, that you've got those folks there just waiting and ready to gobble it up. And then do the next one, and then the next one, and the next one. But you have to have at least a beginning of that following, at least the beginning. So, if I could convince folks of that, it would be...
I was going to say, they need an idea that doesn't suck.
Well, and if you're selling fiction, that's really tough, right? I mean, because how do you get people to... Well, our author that was on last week, he was awesome. I mean, he talked about his book, and you saw those characters, right? If you can do that and instill that in people, they will buy your book because they'll be living with those characters too. He was talking about how, what did he say? Something about... Oh, I can't remember.
He had 13 characters, though. I knew he had 13, and so, this is just me being a Buckeye, but, right, if you hang out in Cleveburg, there's way more than 13 people types, but anyway, he's making money on it.
Yeah, he is. All right, so let's talk about the evolution of self-publishing, because again, this is from a different article, not that 2018 one, but who knew that this article from 2018 ends up being current in 2024, right? I mean, that's surprising. To me, it is. Go ahead.
So I'm going to say nothing. So anything from that COVID period time, coming back or being buried, real life didn't happen for those years.
But it's because of the topic. It's blockchain, and though lots of people talk about blockchain, it's generally in the industry that's dealing with Bitcoin and that type of thing, and they have a good understanding of it. But in my life, when am I going to see that, right? When am I even going to be exposed to blockchain? Unless it becomes part of the voting thing or it becomes part of the publishing industry, then I'm going to be exposed to it. Otherwise, do I have an interest? Probably not, right?
I'm with you.
Yeah, so, but it's interesting to me that it's taken this long, right? And the whole concept in the article was, hey, is this just a blip? Or is this going to become something that's real?
You know, it stinks that everything in this life is the same as in sports. But when teams make moves and things, it's like, where's the money?
Right. No, it's always about the money.
Where's the money in this? And
always about the money.
That'll be the answer.
Right, right. So let's talk about one of the things that mentioned for 2025, the evolution of self-publishing. And I don't know, I think that's it's a difficult thing to conceptualize, but they're talking about the increased quality of self-published work. And I will agree that, when we started in publishing 20-some years ago, self-publishing was nothing more than vanity publishing. And people said, ugh, you don't do that. You just don't do that. And we didn't even accept self-published work. We only did traditionally published. So that changed fairly quickly, though, and it keeps changing. And as self-publishing platforms become more sophisticated, the quality of self-published books is improving. Authors have access to professional editing, cover design, marketing services, making it easier to produce polished, market-ready books. You have to have a willing author to have a polished, quality book. Without the willingness to make it quality, which means time, which is often they've spent 3 years, 5 years writing the book, and now they just want to get it done. And that's where a disciplined author is the best, because then you take the time to make sure you continue the same quality that you put into the writing goes to the rest of it. And oftentimes you're so wanting to get it out there that you lose sight.
Right, like a football team fumbling, right? I mean, you spend all this time, and it's like driving 1,000 miles to see a show and then like not taking an open parking space.
Right. No, it's true. It is. Okay, so how about some expanded distribution channels? Self-published authors are no longer limited to Amazon. Platforms like Ingram Spark and Draft to Digital offer wide distribution, allowing authors to reach readers through multiple channels, including libraries and brick-and-mortar stores. I agree with that. At the same time, I would say that now you're still in a big group of authors, and how do you make your work stand out, and what are you doing to let people know that it's in that brick and mortar store or on that particular platform or available via some other method or at the library or whatever.
Right. I'm going to go into my old liquor store, and liquor products kind of are like books, right? So
I've never heard that.
Well, they can sit in the stores for a while. People don't buy expensive liquor, right, all the time. It's just not people aren't buying it daily, right? But my point is that, like, if there's 20 stores and you're a self-publisher and you're selling direct, well, you don't have to sell a book to put one on the shelf in 20 stores and you just sold 20 books. Right? I mean, it's a distribution.
It is. They're distributed in those 20 stores.
It's seen, and your chances of sales are greater.
Here's the downside to that, and something people don't always know. In order to get these folks to buy that book or put it in their store, oftentimes they're purchasing it, but it's returnable. And if it's returnable, you got to know that just because they bought it doesn't mean it stays on the shelf. And if it doesn't sell, it could come back. And now you have returns.
Well, you can get there, but for a small author, how much is the book?
Depends. $14.95.
Well, right.
Whatever.
Best I know, an investment at 20 books is a good thing.
It is, but you don't have control over that. So that's the issue. These stores can all go out and buy. I knew a manager in a bookstore that didn't know that they just go and buy all these books and then just send them all back because nothing sold, right? Didn't know that the publisher, maybe a small publisher like us, they suffer the consequences of that because those books come back trashed. You're not selling those books.
Oh, right. They're
right?
used.
Yeah.
They've been in copy.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, you're right. So my point is that you have to look at it as a business. You have to view it that way. If you don't view it that way, and I know I pound this in, but you gotta look at it as a business. And sometimes the best way to do those sales is to do them yourself, like your ex. She'd be great at this.
Awesome. No, she just gets bored with something after a while, right? So I just told him to move up the margin.
Yeah, that's a good idea. All right, then data-driven publishing. Self-published authors have access to detailed sales and reader data, allowing them to make informed decisions. And even Amazon is providing data if you become an author on Amazon, you do get data. The problem is analyzing that data and knowing what it's really telling you as opposed to what you think it's telling you. So you just have to kind of really understand what information you're being provided, right?
Do we think that like ByteDance getting all that data is like value? They can't sift through it.
No, I know. I agree with you. Yeah, there's too much.
They can't find anything in it.
Yeah, well, unless they're very selective and pick certain things. I mean, maybe. But so anyway, allowing them to make informed decisions about their marketing strategies, pricing, and even content creation. This data-driven approach is helping self-published authors achieve greater success. So one of the things I would say in addressing that is we write on Substack, right? So you go to hermsen.substack.com. Well, I'm provided stats. So I know how many people have hit on the article. I know how many people have liked something or whatever. So it's helpful because I've been able to see, like my quiz, that got a lot of hits and almost immediately. And yet I'll put out another post where I think, oh, everybody's going to love this. And it's like, oh, nobody's even looking, right? So you need to be able to look at that and evaluate it, be honest with yourself and say, oh, just because I think that doesn't make it right. And then you can evaluate accordingly. I mean, you may find you're writing this, but they really want that, and you need to go to that or move on, right? There you go.
I think so. I was trying to think. Jessica Fletcher.
I love Jessica Fletcher.
Well, so if you watch the show, though, she does all the right things for selling a book, right? She's a widow, became a book writer after her husband passed.
You'd think she was like really this person.
Right? So, but she's got a real handsome picture on the back of all her novels with her on it, right?
True.
Yeah.
It's true.
You got to be proud. I mean, so
Make note of that.
It's
handsome picture.
So it's well, I often think that authors don't display the confidence they should have. Right? They write a book and they're waiting for feedback.
Right.
They don't need to wait for feedback. They need pushback.
Yeah.
But anyway.
All right. Did you bring a book today?
I did not, but I picked one off your shelf.
Oh, good for you.
So, back in the day, right, I'd read mysteries.
It's time.
I read every Clive Cussler book there was, and I really dropped off recently because I know he's not writing them, right? They're the ghost writers now.
Right.
And since the DEI influence into mainstream reading, it's dumbed it down.
Oh.
So I haven't really read recent stuff, but I have read the old Inca Gold in these old dirt pit, just like the Western I talked about last week. It's comfort food, right? I'm going into this for a weekend of excavation in the desert. I love mystery and archaeology in that combination of uncovering the past. And there's always mystery and people stealing stuff and,
I did not know you were a Clive Cussler reader
Yes.
at any time. I did not know
So I love the Wild Wild West, Magnum,
How about
right?
that?
All those like male type.
Learn something new every
Well, you
day.
get into what was that? Sherlock Holmes or any
Oh,
of those kind of things are all, to me, solving problems.
Very cool. Very cool.
I like problem solvers.
All right, so Inca,
Clive Cussler, Inca
Inca
Gold, and ladies, Dirk Pitt. It is a Dirk Pitt novel.
well, apparently that means something. I'll have to look at that. All right. Well, my choice today is an author that I'm hoping to be able to have on. The name of her book is Jetta Bride, a memoir, and it's Patricia Bonis, Bonis. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. She'll correct me if I'm wrong. And this memoir is Patricia fell madly in love with Rahman Abar, scion of a wealthy Saudi Arabian family. And when he suggested they marry, it was the happiest day of her life. So she was a smart, adventurous girl who attended Wellesley College, was not prepared for life as a Saudi woman, a life spent looking through curtains and veils at the world outside, a life that of necessity was curtailed and protected from the toxic masculinity of the culture, a life that for a free-spirited girl used to sneaking out and hitchhiking was dangerous, frightening, and alien. So I think it's going to be an interesting read. It's called Jetta Bride, a memoir, and she obviously learned some things in being married to this man.
I think that's a fascinating subject.
Not only that, but the last line on the teaser on the back is, she is not ready for her children to be kidnapped. So there you go.
What's that, book 2?
Maybe. So that's my choice, Jetta Bride, a memoir, Patricia Bonus, and I'm sure that we'll get her on here in the next few weeks. I think the book is already out, because she won't come on until it's out, so.
I was going to say, like me, come down and get your book out
Yeah,
the
there you
rack.
go.
Off the rack.
Off the rack, and only $3. And if you got a trade, bring in your trade. We'll take care of that for
Do
you.
you sell that like $1 a pound?
That's hefty.
It is. You know what? This book probably could have second job as like a door stop or like a weight if you're gluing stuff.
That would work too. Almost as good as my glue patter. That's funny. Oh, folks, this time just goes by so quickly, and we really appreciate you listening. And like I say, if you're listening on the radio to one of our replays, you can listen to us live 3 to 5 on Tuesdays. Otherwise, and that's on YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook. And otherwise, you can listen to us on 93.7 FM in Reno, Nevada, on America Matters Media, 7 to 9 p.m. Not a.m., p.m.
They bring us such joy. I hope we get to repay a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks for listening. As I said, we're here every week, and we'll see you next time. And have a nice Thanksgiving. Really enjoy your Thanksgiving with family, or by yourself if that's your choice.
And while watching football games, look for the Trumpy dance, right? The football players are doing it.
They're all doing the dance.
I
aren't
can't
they?
do it, but they can do it. Everyone got to
I think it's more this than
It
that.
is a little arms in, but you know what? Work on your Trumpy dance. Till next week.
All right. Take care, everybody, and have a good one this week.